Hello, everyone. My name is Miguel Infante, and today I'm the second member of the second affirmative constructive for this case. And this case is the United States federal government should adopt Mark Cuban's proposal to give every American $1,000 stimulus check every 2 months, every 2 weeks for the next 2 months. Now, I want to state back to what I said earlier. My partner said earlier, he said that, in this day and age with COVID-19 and everything, COVID-19 is unpredictable. And yes, it is unpredictable in the way we're at right now with our economy. Our economy is spiking. And just the fact of the matter is that the stimulus checks are helping people a ton. And I want to point that out, that even now that we're in this pandemic was out of control. This pandemic, no one knew what this was in the beginning, the first few months when this started back in April, back in March, when everything was on lockdown and quarantine, people were losing their jobs. Having that said, this stimulus check proposal with Mark would be a benefit for us, because I want to bring up the idea of this as well. Not only is this going to help us financially and help other people, because I want to remind you again that half of the people, and I'll give you a good percentage, 75% of people in entertainment, arts, theater, and other jobs as well that aren't as remote, or as put in place, so to speak. Like, for example, for colleges, high schools, etc. They all had to transfer into that remote setting, but everything right now is all jumbled up. But with that being said, with other fields and genres like entertainment industries, filmmaking, and etc., those industries, the industry itself was put down in this downward spike. And I'm meaning also on that sense for genre entertainment industry standards. Broadway, if you've been to theater like Beetlejuice, Aladdin, or anything like that, those people, those actors that are acting on Broadway right now, they have lost their jobs because they are freelance actors as well. But having said that, people that have lost their jobs right now, they are transitioning to online. So that means transitioning to meetings, Zoom calls, and etc. But along with that, just freelancers in general that have no contracts are losing their jobs. With that being said, this would benefit a lot of them, because a lot of them own either apartments or have families of their own, have kids of their own. So let's say, for example, four kids and one family, four kids, and let's say your mom, dad, grandma, uncle, and whatnot. And those parents don't have a lot to afford and keep their family strong. So these stimulus checks would benefit that as well. And I want to remind you, back to the person that responded to me, my negative opponent, she mentioned earlier that even though, yes, this is a good idea, this is a good plan, her thoughts and her ideas are well thought out. Yes, I would point that out. But I also want to mention out that even though she also mentioned that half of the people, that majority of people are benefiting off of these stimulus checks and only using the government's money and not going out the way to find new jobs and etc. Well, here's my benefit to back that up as well. With that instead, yes, I agree with you on that, but it's also 50-50 chance, because right now, the pandemic, we have no idea when this is going to end. We have no idea when this is going to end at all. I mean, when President Trump and the Congress and everybody released this was out back in like February, March, and here we are now in October, and still no vaccine. There's a vaccine coming up, but we have no idea when this thing is going to go and pass over. With that being said, I want to remind you that about 85% of Americans are struggling right now, because 85% of them, according to CBS News and all that, etc., according back to the high points of when we started back to food stamps and etc., people that did not need food stamps are now being placed on food stamps because they can't afford a lot of things. But I want to go back to what my negative opponent said on this side. She mentioned that half the people now, they are using this money for either not good use or not good use at all. Drugs, booze, alcohol, and whatever. Yes, that may be the case, but that is not our place to judge or place value on. What we need to focus on is what is beneficial for everyone involved in this economy and the society. Because in general, depending if people don't use the money, if the people don't use the money the way they should or the way they think they should, it is not our job or our responsibility to place judgment on them. They can spend it on whatever they choose to do. It's their money. But at the end of the day, you have to think of it logically. The think of it logically on what they want to choose to spend that money on. And $1,000 right now with the proposal that Monk has put out, a good 50-50 chance, okay, a good 50-50 chance, let's say this, that within the next month or two, we find a vaccine and this thing blows over. Yes, but right now our economy is at a plateau. It is a plateau. And I'll tell you this right now, 75% are still at home, still trying to figure out what to do. And there are people stocking up in the stores and things like that and etc., trying to figure out how to stock up. When half the stores and half the population are freaking out because of food shortages and stuff like that and that nature. And with this stimulus check of every 2 weeks for the next 2 months, this would give us a benefit of the doubt of a beneficial plan, so to speak, of where we can go. Because not only will this proposal work for us, but it will also adapt to what we need to do to combat this virus and combat this whole plan and this whole juncture, so that way we can have a baseline of where we're at. And this is my statement here. And yes, I truly believe that this proposal is going to work, and I think it's a benefit of the doubt for all of us, because I think once we get this proposal up and running and once we get a baseline of how this is going to work, it would benefit everyone else involved. Even though it is for only for a short amount of time, we have a good ground base of where we need to go. So that way there's no riots, there's no food shortages, and etc. on that line and that line scale. So thank you very much for your time and have a good day.